Hi guys, welcome to Maurice Madeka channel. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, and I'm happy that I met somebody who I can actually have this discussion with. With me,
Hi.
I have Nicole, the astrologer. Say hi, Nicole.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Tell everyone where you're from.
I am from London, the UK. I'm not Kenyan, sorry to disappoint you. I'm actually Caribbean, I'm half Jamaican, and I'm also from a place called St. Vincent, which no one ever knows where that is, but it's a very small island in the Caribbean. So yeah, nice to be here.
So I met up with Nicole, as you do, socializing, and we decided, you know what, we need to do an episode discussing astrology. I've always been fascinated about astrology, so when I met an astrologer, I was like, wow, this is my opportunity.
Yes.
And we've also become very good pals, so we're gonna do many other projects together. So Nicole, let me start with, what is astrology?
Okay, let me tell you what astrology is not.
Okay.
I know many people, they feel like, they were born at this time. So for instance, you're born in June, so you would say I'm a Gemini. And a lot of modern day astrology, or what people know as astrology, is based on a very small perception or understanding of what it is. So the real definition of astrology is an ancient practice, and it is the study of celestial bodies or planets, and their connection to human behavior, interaction, and also like natural events.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Right.
Yes.
I actually came across somebody's page on IG the other day.
Yes.
And she said she is a celestial being.
Okay.
And I told her, welcome to the community. So what is astrology? What's it about? Why is it so fascinating? Why am I so fascinated by it?
I think it's because I read your chart. As I
yes,
said,
you did.
I know a lot of people who say that, they're their star sign, but they don't connect. Like, for instance, I know many people I've met, let's say they're an Aries, and they're like, I meet other Aries and they're nothing like me. Or you're a Gemini, I'm not like other Geminis. Yeah. And it's true, you're not, because astrology is the study of all of the constellations, of all of the planets in your chart. Okay. So let's just use you as an example.
Right.
You don't mind?
No.
So
she's read me, so I need her to give us the details of what she read.
Yes, I read all about his antics. So you're born in June the 18th.
Correct.
And so what that symbolizes is that the sun was in Gemini when you were born.
Okay.
But real in-depth astrology is now looking at, okay, but where was the moon? Where was Mars? Where was Jupiter? Where was Venus? And all of these different planets. And all of these different planets have different characteristics and meanings. And then on top of that, we also have to look at how these planets are aspecting each other. What are their relationship in your chart? And then also the house that they fall in. And the houses are, simply put, different areas of a person's life. So from the self to home to finances to career to friendship groups. So yeah, that is pretty much the whole the whole makeup of a person. Okay. Pretty much, yeah.
I would like you to, for our audience and for me as well,
yes.
I'd like you to go through my chart. I want people to understand what I'm about.
Okay, so first let me just start explaining a little bit about maybe what each planet means.
Okay.
And the different houses, and then we'll talk about your chart. I think it's important for everyone to have a foundation. Again, true. I'm trying to myth bust. So starting with the sun in your chart, you're a Gemini, and the sun is the expression of yourself. It represents the ego, your personality. The moon in your chart represents how you feel about things, how you deal with things emotionally. Okay? Then you have Mercury. Mercury is how we communicate, how we come up with ideas, how we think, how we connect with our siblings as well. That is linked to Mercury. Mars, you might like this one. Mars is about our action, our primal force, also our sexual energy. There you go. And we'll talk a little bit about this guy's Mars. We also have Venus. Venus is an expression of our pleasures, our friendship, our romances, what we value, what we hold dear to us, basically. Jupiter represents optimism, expansion, our higher self, like the higher knowledge of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Then we have Neptune. Neptune is the symbol of our kind of intuition, our things that are unseen or hidden, things that can create distortion or illusions in our lives. And then we also have Uranus. Your anus? Sorry. Sorry,
she
guys.
thinks just like me. Yeah, I went there as well.
So Uranus represents things that are unorthodox, that are different, that are unique, that are rebellious. It's kind of linking to Aquarian energy.
Right.
And then we have Saturn. Saturn is the planet of almost what we would say karma, of our tough life lessons, where we have to find our responsibility in this world.
Right.
And then we also look at the nodes of the moon, which are not planets per se, but they say that the south node is kind of linked to our past self and our past lives. And then the north node is almost where we need to be going.
Okay.
So should we have a look at your chart?
Please.
Okay.
Guys, this is my chart. I am so excited. I am so excited. Oh, God.
Okay, so you're a Gemini, we know that. Geminis are known to be very highly sociable people, highly communicative, highly creative. When you think of some of the most well-known kind of philosophers or rappers, Tupac, Gemini, Biggie Smalls, Gemini, Kanye West, Gemini, Lauryn Hill, Gemini. Very good at communicating. And that's where the sun falls in for you.
Okay.
But also Mercury. So the planet of communication is also in Gemini for you, meaning that you're very expressive, you're easy to get along with, you get along with all different types of people. Yeah. But what's very interesting is that your Mercury is trining, and a trine. So it's important to understand in astrology that we don't just look at where the planets are, we also look at how they are connecting with each other.
Okay.
So your Mercury is trining your moon of emotions, meaning that you speak from how you feel. Okay?
Nice.
And the moon can also represent the mother or women.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yes. And I love women.
And you love women. And
especially empowering them.
It's actually in your chart.
Oh, it's in my chart.
It very much is.
I've always known.
And what's interesting is that your moon falls in the sign of Libra.
Okay.
So Libra is the scales. It represents, balance, justice, fairness, etc.
Right.
So it's interesting that for you would want things to be equal. I know, I've seen a couple of your videos. You talk a lot about, if you can't make her squirt,
yes,
then why hand her over? Or
whatever? I know. Yeah. Give her to the Masimbas.
Give her, right. So you really do care about fairness and equality. It actually makes you
especially towards the vagina. Yes.
Right. Very interesting. What's interesting about your Mars, remember I spoke about the sexual energy, what gives us motivation?
Yes.
Your Mars is in the sign of Aries.
Okay.
And Aries is a fire sign. It's very passionate.
Right.
So I can imagine you being very passionate when it comes to sex or needing of sex.
Right.
But also how you express it to other people, because this Mars is also falling in what we would call the 12th house, which is of your subconscious. Remember I told you that I feel like there's a lot that goes on in your head.
Yes.
That maybe people don't see.
Very true.
So with your Mars falling
I probably voice out 10% of what I really want to say, but yeah.
And what's interesting about your Mars is that it's in opposition to the moon, meaning that in a way, there's not that there's an issue there, but more so that you really care about issues of justice. You're going to take action in those things. And sometimes, because it's in opposition, you might not. You might not, because you might be scared of how people feel. Because having a moon in Libra is someone who wants to keep the peace, You don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Okay.
So there could be more things, actually, that you might want to express in this life that you haven't already.
I think those who have followed me for years might not believe this, but as much as people say I'm bold and I'm forward, I tend to think a lot. So I skewer my words to fit in with the masses.
Right.
Which I know I shouldn't.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
So just staying on this Mars as well, because Mars is also conjunct your Jupiter. What this basically means is that your Mars and Jupiter at the time when you were born were right next to each other. So these things are also big ideas. They're actually a lot of thoughts, because Jupiter tends to expand where it is. So the fact that it's in your 12th house, as I've said, if you don't find a way to get out this energy, it could lead to, anxiety or depression or internalizing a lot of things that could come out on your own.
So what you're saying is, moving forward,
yes,
I should say what I really mean.
Yes.
I shouldn't sugarcoat it. Let me look at the cameras. I shouldn't sugarcoat it for anyone. I know for a fact, and like I said, it's going to surprise a lot of people because I'm always very vocal, but I've always left out things that I knew I should have said, especially if I look at a video that I made before. I'm like, hold on, you wanted to say much more, but you said what's palatable to most.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to stop doing that.
Yes. I mean, that's a challenge with a lot of people who have their moon, which is how you feel, in Libra. A sign that wants balance and fairness. And also on the negative side or a con can be they tend to want to be people pleasers. Because and not in a horrible way, like I'm just gonna be fake. But it's more so, as I said, you don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah.
So looking at where your midheaven is in your chart. So hopefully I'll be able to send you a snapshot that we can put into this video.
Okay.
But your midheaven is in Aquarius. And let me just talk about the energy of Aquarius for a second. Aquarius is non-conventional, okay? It is rebellious, but it's for humanity. It's innovation. It wants to stand out in the crowd. And that is your direction. That's actually in your 10th house of career and status.
Right.
Meaning that this is where you need to go. You're not meant to fit in a box. But your moon can be in conflict with that. So it's something that, have you experienced these challenges in your life?
Yes, I have. Like every time I'm next to a camera or next to a mic and I'm asked a question, it takes me a very little time to adjust, but I know I adjust.
Yes.
It looks like I haven't, but I know what I should say and how I should say it.
Yes.
Yet there's a voice telling me that's not really what you wanted to say.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop doing that.
Yes.
So guys, some of you are not going to like me, but I'll just be telling it as it is moving forward.
I think that's what you should do.
Because it has troubled me that after whatever I had to say, later on, it starts to disturb me that I should have said what I wanted to say rather than what I felt people can take on.
Yes. And also around the same house. So in the same house of the 12th house, we're still in the 12th house of your subconscious, of what's going on in your mind, mental health. You also have Chiron there. Chiron is an asteroid, and in astrology, it's known as the wounded healer. So wherever your Chiron is in your chart can represent somewhere where you need to kind of fix or can be a stumbling block that you need to overcome in this life.
Right.
And your Chiron is also in this house next to Mars and next to Jupiter.
Right.
So if you continue to internalize these things, it could lead to depression, anxiety, or again, having these thoughts where you could become like, I don't know, an old senile man talking about why vaginas.
We are not doing senile. Need
to squirt. In addition to that as well, going back to your moon again, your moon is actually falling in your 6th house, meaning that how you feel is very connected to your day-to-day life. You couldn't do anything that you don't feel connected to, if that makes sense. Like, some people could just do anything for money. I don't think long-term you would be okay with that. Because how you feel, I mean, people might be like, well, this is everyone, but for you, it's especially important. And especially the fact that this is also linked to how you communicate. It's very interesting that you do this as a job, to be honest. And the fact that it's linked to women as well. And, fighting for equality in the bedroom, should we say. And we can talk a little bit about...
fighting for the vagina,
because you also have in the same house, the 6th house, which represents our day-to-day lives, our colleagues, our health, our well-being, but mainly our day-to-day lives.
Right.
And you have Uranus in here, which is very unorthodox and very unusual things, very rebellious. So maybe what you do in your day-to-day life doesn't fit the norm. It's not what normal people would do.
I've never liked normal.
What would you say a typical day might look for you? Or a typical week?
I think a lot about sex because I'm dealing with my clients. I'm researching, trying to improve what I do, worrying too much about people I can't reach and how I can't help them, which sometimes probably not too healthy. Just trying to be busy, just trying to see what I can do 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Especially in the last few years.
Yeah.
It's become more important in terms of what I can do for people.
And it's very interesting as well in your chart that you also have the planet of Pluto, which I don't think I mentioned at the beginning. But Pluto is the planet of like transformation, death. Not like you're gonna die, but death, rebirth, are deep-seated sexual energy, things related to the occult or the hidden.
Right.
And so you also have Pluto in the 6th house.
Okay.
So I believe that the path you're on, not only for yourself, is transformative, but you also offering some type of transformation in the lives of others or those that are near and dear to you in life as well.
Okay.
So that's very, very interesting. And also just to kind of piggyback to your Gemini again, it's actually in your 2nd house of money, Mercury.
Okay.
So how you speak, how you present yourself is how you make money. It's how you're going to make money. It's how you're making money.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's also kind of linked to your Mars, which is linked to your primal energy, your sexual energy, your intuition as well. You know, people with Mars in the 12th house are highly intuitive. So
talk more on that.
So they say
what does that look like?
So what does that look like? It could look like people just being able to open up to you naturally or feeling seen. And you don't know why they feel so seen. Okay. Because you're able to intuitively vibe with people and just know more than what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that because my clients have told me that.
Okay.
I don't know, but for many years, I always critique myself.
Right.
I'm good with compliments, but at the same time, I'm not good with compliments.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm the same. So.
I love to help people. I love to hear that I can help them. I love to hear that I'm easy, you know, on when we're together, I make people comfortable and stuff like that. But I always feel like there's more I could do.
Yes. I feel like you will start to find that the more you express who you really are,
right.
The more people you will touch. The more people that may connect with your message.
Right.
You know, the challenge for you in this life is, as I said, stop trying to be a square, trying to fit into a circle, or a triangle, trying to fit into a hexagon. Yeah. You are your own person, and someone that has an Aquarius in the 10th house or in your midheaven is someone who is for humanity, is for some type of transformation or innovation in society. And whether that's changing our perception on sex or relationships or whatever that might be for you, you need to be walking in that direction. Okay. Because it's the only person it's going to affect is yourself.
Right. Why is it when I read people, they don't like it?
I mean, there's many
I know I'm
reasons.
good at it. I've done it for a long time.
I personally believe that the truth hurts.
Okay.
It's that simple. And sometimes people need a second to digest. I mean, I've gone through this myself. I mean, I've read over 500 charts now. I've done readings professionally for the past 3 or 4 years. Right. And, you know, there'll be some people that are very open to their readings, even the challenges, even because no one's chart is perfect. Yeah. But then you have others that are like, that's not me at all. Even though everyone around them is like, that is so you. Okay. And I think some people just struggle. They struggle with accepting who they are. You know, I feel like, especially in this generation, no offense, I feel like a lot of people lack a lot of self-awareness. Right. And so that's where kind of astrology can kind of help to bring things to the surface. Because astrology is not predictive. I could read your chart and say, like I said to you, I was like, you've got a lot of things on your mind that you want to express, but you don't. I don't know what those things are. Okay. I'm not a psychic. Okay. All I'm looking at is where the planets are, the celestial planets, and where they're falling for you in your chart, and how that may look. Only you know what that looks like.
Okay. What I can say is just from listening to you is I don't mince my words, but I've been adjusting them for, I think, the bigger scale of people to digest it. And I just need to stop doing that. I just need to say as it is. Yes. I should not care who I hurt. Because, like you said,
yes,
sometimes the truth...
Be tactful. You still have to be tactful.
Oh my God, I don't think the things that I think about, being tactful means I'm just going back to being who I was.
Okay.
So I'll just say as it is.
Say it as it is.
I'll just say it as it is.
I think the more you start expressing who you are,
yes,
what you truly feel and think,
yes,
people are going to connect. And of course, there's going to be people who may disagree with your message. And you need to be okay with that.
No, but I don't mind that. One thing I've always told people is I'm not here to convert. Mm-hmm. I've never been here to convert.
Yes.
I'm here to teach those who want to be taught.
Right.
You know, in the world that we're in, I always feel that if you scroll to a channel and you don't like what somebody's saying,
yes,
you have the advantage of clicking off and going somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But I always find it strange, which now links to my next question, that somebody will continue listening to, like, let's say to me,
yes,
and then they go on messaging and say, oh my God, I hate you and this and that. And I'm thinking, hold on, instead of wasting time hating me, you could have moved on to morals.com.
Of course.
Now, in relation to what I just said,
yes,
do people's charts, or in general,
yes,
does astrology explain why, for example, we have so many weak personalities, people who get pissed off by the smallest of things? Whereas when I was growing up, jokes were jokes.
Yes.
You were allowed to make a joke about me. I was allowed to make a joke about you.
Yes.
Then we toast to it and laugh.
Yes.
We become friends and life continues. But today, people have become very flaky. So is that explained by astrology?
To an extent, yes. I would say on one half you have, I'd have to look at a person's individual charts.
Yeah.
Some people do have aspects to their moon or their Mercury that makes them very sensitive. But then also you have some planets like Pluto, Uranus, even Saturn that are generational. Okay. So for an example, I was born in the Pluto and Scorpio generation.
Right.
And so you'll find that some generations have a lot in common. And so I'm currently actually researching a lot of the different generations and what I'm seeing. Right. So I'll have to get back to with more of that information.
Okay.
But astrology can explain why some generations of people have a certain kind of, characteristic. So for an example, I find that as a millennial, I'm a millennial, shout out to the millennials.
Right.
Pluto and Scorpio. Scorpio is known to be very revengeful, I guess, but also very passionate, very investigative. And if you find that within the last kind of millennia, a lot of our millennials are just not standing for things anymore. We're seeing, governments be corrupt, and we want to, the Illuminati and all these types of things have come up in the last millennial.
Yeah.
And that is actually linked to the Pluto going into Scorpio.
Okay.
Just like we saw with Pluto being in Capricorn. We're actually just moving into Pluto in Aquarius. We'll talk about that. But Pluto moving into Capricorn, we saw a lot of financial instability across the world, huge recessions. We had the pandemic. And Capricorn is linked to the planet Saturn, which links to government, control, and things of that nature.
Okay.
But recently, actually, we've just had Pluto transit into Aquarius. And by the way, guys, Pluto takes up to about 20 years to transit just one sign. So some of the transits we experience, our grandparents never experienced. Neither did our great-grandparents experience.
Right.
And so we've just moved into Pluto and Aquarius. And what we might find, and we're already seeing it, is the advancement of technology, of AI, of rebellion, uprising. Look at what's happening in the world right now, right? You see everyone campaigning and saying, this is wrong. Something just feels wrong. Like, I just feel wrong. Like, it's something, it just feels
Things
off.
are not gelling as
Things
they
are
used
not gelling
Yes.
because we know that we are moving into a new world. We're moving into a new world of transforming. And as I said, Pluto represents transformation.
Okay.
Power and control.
Right.
Death and rebirth. Meaning that over this next 20 years, I believe as a society, we're going to see huge changes as a collective. And not only that, but even in terms of technology as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Does astrology deal with the questions I ask? You can answer them in any way, but one of the questions I always ask is, are we alone? And I believe we're not. About the universe and how large it is. I do a lot of research on scientists out there who believe that we have multiverses. We have galaxies that have other planetary systems. Again, back to are we alone? And I believe we're not.
Yes.
So what does that look like when it comes to astrology?
I would say astrology doesn't necessarily look at other worlds, to be honest. Astrology was founded about 3000 BCE.
3000 BCE.
BCE.
Wow.
In Mesopotamia.
Okay.
And then it got further developed about 2000 BCE by the Egyptians. They weren't called Egyptians. Obviously, it was Kemet at the time.
Okay.
And what we find in history is that our ancestors were studying, you don't know why you're here, right? As humans, everybody can philosophize of why we're here. Why are we humans? Whether it's Jesus, whether it's Buddha.
We actually don't know why we're here.
We actually don't know
why we're here. The answer's not
there.
Yeah.
The answer is not there.
I've researched enough to know there's no answer to that.
No one actually knows. They're just theories, right?
Yeah.
And so as our ancestors, I'm assuming, all they had to look at is, okay, we have a moon that comes out every night, we have a sun, we have these stars, and that's why you have like different tribes, like the Dogon tribe in Africa, that can tell you which star system is linked to what.
Yes.
And so
Did you hear that? Tribe in Africa.
Yes.
So Africans have known these things for a long time.
A long time. And as I said, astrology was further developed in Africa by the Egyptians. It's only until, obviously, the Greeks came with people like Aristotle and Plato and those types of people, where we then kind of narrowed it down to these 12 zodiac signs.
Okay.
But it's been around for a long, long, long time. And so all they did is study, okay, when this planet goes here, somehow it floods. When it goes here, some reason people are fighting, etc., etc., etc. So I feel like all we can look at is how it connects to us. And I genuinely do believe that we are connected to all these things. Even if you're a Christian watching, I'm going to just ask you a question. If God created everything, why did God create all these planets? Are they just there for show? Because we know we would have no life without the sun. And we know that the moon can...
When I ask Christians, they always tell me they were created for us to discover them. Oh my God, it's so tiring speaking to some people. Yeah, so we've covered why we're here.
Yes.
The other question is about our lives as humans.
Yes.
The fact that you can dissect them.
Yes.
I'm also very curious to know, have we lived other lives? I'm saying this because as much as I have read and seen a lot of material out there, people speaking on this, and these are people who are qualified enough to speak and have worked on it for a very long time.
Yes.
I always feel that sometimes my dreams are not what I was told dreams are, but they're actually a reality of me as a being having lived other lives.
Yes. Some people do believe there's like, I don't want to say for the whole astrology community, because like every community is like, no, that's not true. Yes, it is true. So there's so many factors. Like just to kind of, as a side note, there are different types of astrology. And so just going back to the past life thing, remember I touched on the nodes of the moon, the south node and the north node.
Right.
Some people believe, and I do believe to an extent, your south node does represent your past life. So for an example, my south node is in Cancer.
Okay.
Cancer as a sign is known to be like the mother, very nurturing, etc. And my north node, based on where I'm going, is in Capricorn. So what that could look like in terms of a past life is, in my past life, maybe I had a lot of kids, maybe I gave a lot of myself for other people. And in this life, I'm meant to go towards my Capricorn energy, which is to be a boss, to materialize, to build, to not focus so much on maybe the nurturing aspect of myself.
Right.
And so for you, we could look at where your nodes are.
Please do.
Your south node is in Taurus. So maybe in your past life, you were someone who was very, a person who built a lot of things, because actually your ascendant is also in Taurus. We'll get to that another time. And so maybe in this life, you are meant to be more investigatory because your north node is in Scorpio. So you're meant to kind of look beneath the surface, look to where things, deep transformation can be found. As I said, the 8th house, which is also a Scorpion house, also represents sex, right? And so maybe where you're going in this life or in this new life, you're meant to tap more into the deeper side of life rather than the earthly things of life. Does that make sense? Yeah, so astrology does link with that. And in terms of our dreams, There are things around dreams in astrology which could be linked to like your 12th house, like we've spoken about a lot, or even the planet Neptune. Remember I spoke about Neptune having illusions or delusions, but dreams as well, and our intuition and even our psychic abilities. Like I'm sure you've experienced deja vu before.
Yeah,
you're like, I've definitely been here before.
Yeah. I've even seen repeated numbers for a certain period of time in the year.
Yes. And so I do believe astrology does have some understanding of that. However, I feel like we would also have to look more into kind of spirituality philosophies as well, which is something I'm also interested in.
Right.
Yes.
As of last year, I started seeing a energy healer because I was having issues that Pharma could not deal with.
Yeah.
And I should have done this, but it's not conforming, but it's just what you've been what you've been taught to believe.
Yes.
So I did try Pharma, and Pharma didn't help me for years. I did an energy healing.
Yes.
And it only took 2-3 sessions, and my issues went. Now I want to look for somebody who can take me back to my past lives. Like this is something that I have to find out.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it literally keeps me awake. Not because I'm thinking about it. I hear a conscious telling me, you have to find out. So I need to find out about my past lives.
Yes.
I'm researching on a few people who might be able to help me.
Yes.
But I also want people who are in that place where they feel there's more to life than what they were taught.
Yes.
I would like them to reach out to people like yourself and myself, where we can start creating a community of people who believe that they have a higher self that keeps telling them that maybe a lot of the social stuff we've been taught is not what we need to conform to.
Absolutely. And I think what's also important with that is the fact that as a society, we tend to give a lot of our power away, if that makes any sense. So again, no disrespect to religious people, but I feel like with religion, it kind of gives the onus to this third party to change things in your life.
Right.
Not realizing that the power is actually within you.
Yeah, that we all have powers.
We all have this power.
We're all like mini gods.
We are spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Exactly.
Which
means we're an energy.
We're an energy.
I believe in that.
Everything is energy. Yeah. That's why you can meet someone and you're like, don't really like your vibe. Because the vibration is a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, even in the electronic, I don't know if you know about the electronic magnetic spectrum of light.
Yeah.
And when you look at the small amount that we as humans can see, it's crazy. Like the magnetic spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum is like this big.
Right.
And we see this much.
Very little.
Very little.
So our
of what's
scope
around
is
us.
What's around us.
What's around us.
Yes.
I could be radiating colours right now. I just can't see it.
Exactly. Yes, because we are an energy.
It. Right.
True. Funny you've mentioned that because my healer, when she gets to a certain state, when you take a photo of her, you can actually see colours around her.
Wow.
She has an academy where she teaches people about how to be energy healers as well.
Yes.
And one of her students, you could actually see energy flowing in colors from her body to the student's body.
Wow.
And that's something I'm very interested in.
Definitely. And that's the reason why I think it's so important that we stop demonizing traditional spirituality or traditional African spiritual practices.
Yes, we should not demonize it.
A lot of this has come from colonization and slavery.
Correct.
And we need to remember that.
Even our minds became
enslaved.
Yes.
And I think it's so important because I feel like they knew so much more than we did. And I feel like the more we know, the more we tap into a higher self that we don't even realize exists within us. And
Agreed.
That's what astrology did for me. Astrology made me see that I had so much untapped power inside of me. And when I was able to really focus my energy on these things, so many things happened. I mean, I love to say to my friends that my life is a movie. Right. I mean, I met you a week ago and now I'm on a podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
And when we met, we just clicked. Our vibes, our energies and stuff like that. And we didn't have to try too hard.
No.
And when it comes to the energies that you have.
Yes.
Like when we blame like social media.
Yes.
But social media, the blame comes from the humans.
Yes.
And so I was very interested in knowing there must be something in regards to the universe that's causing people to have this heightened sensitivity. Because I've never seen that before.
I think, as I've said, I think personally, like my personal beliefs, other astrologers may disagree, but it is what it is.
Right.
I personally believe with this huge transit happening, with Pluto moving into Aquarius,
Right.
this is going to have people waking up. This is going to have people fighting for what they truly believe.
Okay.
People are going to care less about what people think of them.
Right.
Authenticity wins over fakeness.
Agreed. And there's a lot of fakeness
And there's
today.
a lot of fakeness that is slowly getting weeded out.
And fakeness is what's driving the world, funny enough.
Absolutely.
Not authentic.
Yeah, and if you even see, a lot of people are detaching more and more from this celebrity culture or celebrity worship. You're just a human like me.
Yes.
And we're going to see that even more. I do have to pre-warn that we might see more war and control and power being used with the uses of technology and things like that. But I think what we're going to see going forward with all of our generations is I would say, awakening. And I think what's slowly happening is that shift. But yeah, there's going to be sensitive snowflakes everywhere.
Okay. For our audience, when it comes to relationships, are there certain signs that gel better with others?
So, based on astrology, what I would do is what we would call a synastry chart.
Okay.
So, again, I'm going to be myth busting a lot. So when people are like, I'm a Gemini, and they say I'm not good with a Leo, it's got nothing to do with just your sun sign.
Right.
I need to be able to have your full chart and your partner's full chart, and we'll do what we call a synastry chart, where we look at your compatibility based on where your planets fall in your partner's houses and vice versa.
Because in Kenya, they really need that. Oh, God.
I think the world needs it, honestly.
Beyond the vaginas, it's a disaster out there. Yeah, they need your services.
Yes, because because you can see in the chart why people may gravitate towards certain people or have certain relationships or do the same things over and over and over again, not realizing that this is a toxic cycle that they've been put on this earth to break.
Yeah.
You're not meant to remain the same. You know, astrology for me, I look at it as a transformational tool. So, yeah.
I'm laughing because if I give you a snippet of Kenya, I'm sure it's not just Kenya, but there are plenty of countries around the world. But because I'm in Kenya, let me reference Kenya.
Yes. I love Kenya, by the way, guys.
She loves Kenya.
I love it.
But I'll tell you the things that are not going too well in Kenya.
Okay.
One is we're people pleasers. Every Kenyan is a storyteller. So every Kenyan is a sexologist, a surgeon, a doctor, marine engineer, pilot, you name it, architect. Kenyans can't say they don't know.
Right.
You meet a Kenyan and he'll have seen somebody hugging somebody outside a supermarket. And it could have been me and my cousin.
Right.
But by the time it gets to where that person gets is Maurice was seen and he's got a new girl.
Right.
Yeah, and he looked like he was fingering her.
Oh, wow.
You see? That's a Kenyan.
Right.
That's a Kenyan. Oh, he's got to put a bit of salt into that stuff. Ooh, let's blend this very well. So there's a lot of that going on.
Right.
But then it transforms into lies and lies in relationships. Because then we sugarcoat everything. We tell each other what the other person needs to hear, not what you're supposed to tell them.
I personally feel like, to be honest, I feel like that's going to be linked to maybe culture and religion. I feel like until people realize that the West does not know best and white is not always right.
So are you saying we've adopted that culture from somewhere? Because when I was growing up, Kenyans were not liars the way they are today.
I think it's because maybe some people have this inferiority complex to the West. This is my experience. I've been to
many do.
I've been to a few African countries.
Yeah.
And I find that with some people, not everyone, I just want to put that out there. There's a lot of pro-Black, pro-African people. I love you. But there are some people that believe that the West knows best. And so they are kind of trying to peg themselves to the white man, this invisible white man.
True.
So for them, success is I'm more closely westernized. So I have all of these things. And then I feel like religion comes into it in relationships because religion tells a man that you're the head of the household and you're meant to lead and you're meant to do this and that. Yes. And it gives you a false narrative of what masculinity is and it gives you a false narrative of what femininity is. And everyone's trying to fit this fake patriarchal, bullshit, basically. It
is bullshit.
And that's not helping anyone. That's why you see so many women filing for divorce. In the West, anyway, 70% or 70+% of marriages that end in divorce are filed by the woman.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of that is because we were sold a dream. We were sold an image of what a man is.
The same's happening here.
Right.
Yeah, there are more women filing than men.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we realize, why am I dumbing myself down? Why am I
say that again. I've been trying to sing this for a long, long time. Please listen to what you've been sold. What?
We've been sold a dream. We've been sold romance, and that is not representative of what the true nature of, in my opinion, a man is.
I agree.
You are not this person.
No, we're
that
not.
You've been sold, and neither is a woman.
No. I've never agreed to be that man anyway.
They say that femininity basically equals obedience and silence and being your chef and your cook. And then masculinity is...
we can both cook naked.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
There you
we
go.
spoke about nakedness there.
There you go.
But I think a lot of that is to do with societal pressures, culture, and I do believe, no offense, but religion plays a huge part. Yeah. And I personally believe that that's what's holding Africa back.
Oh, yeah. It's not just holding Africa back, it's killing Africa.
I honestly do believe that because because religion, our brains are programmed based on philosophy.
Yeah.
Whatever your philosophical beliefs are, beliefs, not truths, not facts, beliefs.
Yeah.
That is how you see the world, regardless of the truth being in front of you. Because this God says, I must do this and do this and do that.
Yeah, that's how you see it.
And that's how you see it.
Yeah.
And as we can see, the more we try to adopt the westernized culture in Africa, how are we growing?
Which they're not practicing at the moment.
I'm from the West, guys. The West is not your friend. The West is not even my friend.
Exactly.
And I was born there.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't know best. And that's why every time I come here and I see my friends, I'm like, understand, like, you guys might have problems or issues in your country, but your quality of life, your connection to just breathe fresh air, be surrounded by nature.
Nature. Yes.
Like, the respect that
Kenyans love nature, especially in a place called Naivasha. Well, that's a discussion
I've been
for
to
another day.
Naivasha.
You've been to Naivasha?
It's beautiful. I went camping there.
You went camping?
Yes.
Other people are camped. But so like I said, it's a different topic.
But I feel like that's what's holding us back. And I feel like the reason why it's holding us back as well is because I feel like it's kind of like holding us bondage. It's holding us hostage to these westernized philosophy. So they come into your country, they rape you, they take your stuff, they take away your language or culture. This is for me anyway, as a Caribbean person. They literally stripped us of every single thing.
Yeah.
But then the Bible is the one thing they gave us that is correct.
Which they don't practice.
Which they don't practice, but they'll say they practice.
Yeah.
Because they'll go and, have sex yesterday and they'll go to church tomorrow and then they'll repent.
There you go.
There you go.
I never knew about this repenting. Because I'd have to do it like every hour.
Honestly, at a certain point in my life, I do believe I was part of a cult. I feel like most churches are cults.
I am part of a cult. I'm just trying to have that cult as a community. Because we're out there.
We are out there.
We're out there. We have people who think just like us. So you're not alone.
Yes.
We are looking forward to hearing from you. Yes. We are looking forward to creating this community.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to Nicole reading more of you.
Yes, please.
For those who would like to reach out to you.
Yes.
Because you're in the UK, even though you come to Kenya and stuff. Do you do readings virtually as well?
Absolutely. Majority of all of my readings are virtually.
With people around the world?
Yeah. So people can drop me an email at nicoletheastrologer@gmail.com. And I also have my readings on Etsy at Nicole The Astrologer as well. So that's where you can find me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because people have been watching you, and I know a lot of men have questions, and one of them is this. Are you single?
I am very single.
Okay. And why are you single? Not that you have to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe everyone should be in a relationship. I also don't believe everyone should get married.
Yeah.
But why are you single right now?
I'm personally single because I am focused on me.
Yeah.
I also feel a bit emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
But I'm just focused on me. You know, if I meet the right person and we're on the same vibe, that's fine.
Right.
But I find it's quite hard dating.
That was my next question.
In London.
How easy or hard is it to find compatibility? A guy who understands not just a woman, but you. He has to fit into your belief system, your energy drive. Just you're not conforming to the traditional setting of what a woman should be.
Right.
So a lot of guys would want to tone you down, which I know they can't. They'll fail.
Yes, they can try.
It's like trying to tone me down. That's going to be a failure.
Yeah.
So how does that work for you? Do you find yourself just saying, you know what, let me just deal with me and...
I find that because I've had quite a roller coaster of a life, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I had to grow up at a very young age.
Right.
And so with that comes a lot of wisdom and comes a lot of self-introspection.
Right.
And I find in my culture anyway, it's very hard to find a man that is self-aware, who has that level of introspection that I have.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people are sold the dream, right? I mean, a lot of our guys, not all of them, I don't want to shit on everyone, but a lot of them are, you know, really falling victim to this red pill community. Right. Like a woman should be like this, fit, you know, friendly and all these kind of things.
Yeah, for those who don't know what the red pill is, maybe you can...
The red pill community is basically a bunch of sorry ass men, I'm joking, a bunch of men who believe in the traditional woman trope of like a woman should be in the kitchen, she shouldn't be heard or seen, those kind of people. You shouldn't have a job, you know, why are you getting a degree? Why are you trying to make money? You know, those types of men, even though they themselves can't be a traditional man because they can't pay all the bills. And another thing, most of us in London are living 50-50 relationships. So we're in these 50-50 type of dynamics.
Where you pay 50
I'm paying 50%,
of the expenses of the house, 50%, whatever.
But I'm still expected to still maintain this traditional role.
Okay.
And it doesn't make sense.
And then you like let's say you've got a 9 to 5.
Yes.
And then he's got a 9 to 5.
Yes.
Yet you're supposed to do
cook, clean, and do everything in addition to that.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of people, like most of my friends are single mothers as well.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I'm not against men. I don't hate men. You know, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, she's damaged or she's hurt. No, I'm awake.
But you realize that people like yourself, myself, were called damaged because we just tell people things that hurt them.
Yes.
And they're hurt because it's the truth.
Pretty much.
Yes. I've always found sometimes when somebody's hating on you, they're not literally hating you.
No.
They're hating the fact that they've not ascended to where you are.
Yes, basically.
They still let a lot of societal myths control their lives.
Yes.
They can't be as vocal.
Yes.
Because they care too much.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. When it comes to marriage.
Yes.
I'm not a believer. I've mentored enough individuals. I've mentored couples.
Yes.
And sometimes I've had to tell a couple after, if it's 4 or 5 sessions, that my conclusion of our therapy class is the worst thing that happened is that you met. Now, people find that ridiculous when therapy is not about mending or supergluing people together.
Right.
It's about profiling each individual to see where you're at now. I always tell people evolve.
Oh,
when you met 15 years ago, what we look like today are two different people because you have different dreams, I have different dreams.
Right.
Now, the problem is people think superglue is love. Yet love is a very useless, erratic emotion if you don't use it well.
Right. And it's also because people don't really truly understand what love is, right?
Yeah.
I believe, I mean, when it comes to marriage, personally, my philosophy, I don't believe there's any such thing as your soulmate or like one person that you're meant to be with for the rest of your life. And that is it. I feel like there's multiple people that
can be a soulmate.
That can be a soulmate. I mean, I've got friends that I would consider a soulmate. No,
exactly.
we're not doing things, but yeah.
And you see, the fact that you had to say no, we're not doing things, it means we live in a society where people sexualize things.
Right.
I've always said, stop sexualizing love. The minute you sexualize love, you crucify it.
Basically.
You kill our bond.
Yep.
I've always found friendship is far more powerful than love.
Way more powerful.
Anytime.
And that's what I focus on. But I find that some guys, like where I'm from, they find it very hard to be friends.
With a woman.
With a woman. Yeah.
They find it hard because is it in that culture that I can't be with a woman even though we're friends without benefits?
I mean, I feel like some guys genuinely, like I've got male friends. I don't want to say that I've got no male friends.
Yeah.
But some males do have that kind of perception. And even when I've been in a relationship.
Right.
And I might have a friend that's a guy and I'm like, hey, I'm going to hang out with so-and-so today. They have a huge issue with that.
Okay.
And so I feel like it's also maybe insecurity. I don't know.
What I can say is, I think a lot of men around the world pretend to be friends with women.
Yes, I believe the same thing.
Because when I was younger, I was very good at pretending.
I mean, you guys wake up with boners. That is the first thing on your mind.
Forget waking up with a boner. I just wished I just woke up with your vagina on my face.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's because, and that's why right now, as an older guy, I realize, oh my God, there's a way we act. And then obviously, as you mature and then you now are able to say consciously, Nicole is my friend, she's my friend, she's my friend. But the rest, yeah, I wish more could happen, but let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I feel like people who I thought were my friends at some point would try.
Okay.
There's always going to be someone who would try.
Right.
But I do believe women and men can be friends. Like, I mean,
yes.
Especially if they're gay.
Well, let's not we don't.
I'm from the West, guys. It's legal in my country.
Yes.
It's not over here.
Well, yeah, it's not, but that's another topic.
That's another topic for another day.
But Kenyans are very, we're very like nonchalant about it. It's like, just do
whatever.
you, man. And you should do you.
Do you?
Exactly.
Live your life.
Exactly. Why are we so bothered about other people?
Exactly.
They shouldn't be bothered about us and stuff.
Exactly.
So, Nicole, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience? How can they reach you?
Go on.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that in the description as well, but how can they reach you?
So as I've said, you can drop me an email at nicoletheastrologer@gmail.com. And I also have an Etsy store at nicoletheastrologer.etsy.com. So that's how you can book a reading with me if you've got any questions. I don't promote too many readings. A lot of my clients come from word of mouth because I believe that it is a spiritual journey. We meet for a reason. But also, as just one last thing, please don't get scammed. There's a lot of people that say they're an astrologer, they're a tarot reader, they're this, they're that, and they're not real. So just be wary of that. But yeah, that's me.
So guys, I've enjoyed the banter with Nicole. It's been amazing. I think we're going to be doing much more. Even when she's in the UK, I'm sure we'll have a few live feeds here and there. So this is Maurice. It's been amazing. It's been transformational in the way I think. You just have to be ready for me. I am going to be brutally honest, which I should have been for a very, very long time. Thanks to her, now I know that I've been holding back, and sometimes when I'm asleep, their voice is telling me that's not really what you wanted to say, and you should have just been yourself. So guys, thank you very much.
And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And you need to be back. Take care. Cheers.